Hello and welcome. I'm Lorianne Lumbee with Authentic Freedom Academy. And because I have a funeral this coming Friday, I won't be able to do our spiritual service live. And so I'm pre-recording a message for our Authentic Freedom membership community. And before delivering that message, I just want to invite all of us to just take a moment in quiet to gather our energies into ourself, to let go of the chaos of our increasingly maddening world, and to just allow ourselves to open so that we might receive. So let's take a few moments in that silence. Before I begin this week's message, I want to offer and surround everyone in this community with the blessings, the vibration, the healing power, and the unifying power of the Aramaic Lord's Prayer. And so as I recite these sacred words, I invite you to be open to the vibrations of that prayer that help to facilitate our union within ourselves, with that which we might call God, with each other, and with our world. Avun de Bashmaya, Netcharishmach, Te Te Malkuta, Nahwe Savianik Ikana de Bashmaya of Baga, Havlan Lachma Desun Kenanyumana, Washboklan Chaobain Waktahain, I Kanadof Kanon Shokam Lachayabain, Wela Taklan Lena Suna, Ela Patsamin Bisha, Betul de Lache Makuta, Wahalawatashbokta, Lalam Almin. Amen. As I'm recording today's message and in preparation for this recording, the image that came to my mind will resonate with those that are 50-something-ish, and maybe a few that are younger. And it's the cover art and also some of the blazing images from the movie Backdraft. Those flames and the power and the force of those flames speak to where we find ourselves at this stage in our human evolution. We are moving towards the center of the fire. This fire is known by the increasing sense of madness that we see in our world, the increasing anxiety and stress that people are experiencing as a result not only of the continuing pandemic and the apparent resurgence of the contagious aspects of that virus and the variants that seem to be raging. This fire that we are entering into is about that anxiety, but it goes beyond the anxiety simply of the virus. What comes clearest to my mind is the gut-wrenching pain that we feel, that those who are sensitive and paying attention will feel, that gut-wrenching pain of separation. In a time that we should be coming together as a species, as a people, in the United States, as a nation, as a world, in a time that we should be coming together, it seems we are finding more and more and more reasons to fall apart. The fingers of blame keep pointing. The gulf between the pros and the antis seems to be widening, and the voices are louder and increasingly more violent. We are moving into a period where, as teachers, as leaders, as peacemakers and activists, as people of compassion and love, we are moving into a time where we are going to be called for two purposes. The first is to continue the deep work that we have already been doing within and among ourselves. That deep work of identifying, transforming, working through our fears, our past wounds, our triggers, our past traumas. We have allowed ourselves to move through great suffering, profound testing, and we have honed and practiced our skills. Our skills at navigating crisis, as holding space for others, our skills in compassion and mercy, in seeking understanding, and yearning to bring people together and not apart. We have done this work. And as we moved through the first layer of the pandemic and all of the other insanity that happened in 2020, as we moved through that, we had an opportunity to prove to ourselves the benefit and the reward of that deep work that we have been doing. We found our way to peace in the midst of chaos. We found a way to live in discomfort. We found a way to manage our fears. We found a way to connect with and come together in community, whether it be with our local community, our online community, or a little bit of both. We survived the first test. Not only did we survive, I think for many of us, we thrived. And we found that shutdown wasn't so hard. We may have discovered more fully our truer nature and our more authentic rhythm. The words of Charles Dickens come to mind as I think of what we have walked through, in that it was the best of times and it was the worst of times. Now we are moving into stage 2. I remember when the nation, the United States, started talking about reopening, and I felt my heart sink. And the first thought that came to my mind was, no, humanity is not yet ready. They have not learned their lesson. And the fact that that lesson was not learned has been proven over and over and over since reopening last August-ish. So a year. So for the last year, we've had an opportunity to see over and over and over what was not learned. We've also had an opportunity for more and more and more of the veils to fall away, the veils that have hidden the underbelly of humanity's existence, our prejudice, our racism, our sexism, and all of the sins and evils that we have heaped upon our world. And as the West Coast is blazing, we have an opportunity to see proof of the damage that we have done, not only to each other, but to this planet that we need for our very survival. And we know from looking back upon history that Mother Nature always wins. So it's time for us to get our shit straight, or Mother Earth will simply shake us free and be done with this close-minded, stiff-necked, arrogant species called human beings. In this second test, we will have an opportunity, number one, to further hone our own gifts, our own skills, our own abilities for entering into equanimity, finding peace in the midst of chaos, staying sane, connecting with support, and finding peace and contentment in the midst of whatever life hands us. The second test is really less for those of us that have already been doing this work and more for those that didn't get it the first time around. I'm already seeing evidence of this. People beginning to finally wake up and ask the question, can we be better than this? Can we make different choices? How can we return to love? How can we begin to lay down those banners of separation and find common ground so we can do the work that needs to be done to restore our world and to bring peace to one another? This brings me to really the point and purpose of today's message. And that point and purpose is readiness. In meditating in preparation for this message, I saw an army of human beings that are rooted in and driven to be love. I saw all those in this community with whom I have connected over the past many years. I saw all those I know whose hearts are full of love and who desire peace and compassion and beauty in our world. I saw that army of people, of way showers, of forerunners who have been in training, if you will, for this time, ready and able to be a source of support for themselves, for each other, and for those who will be coming forth in search of support and guidance and help and comfort. Now is the time where we have an opportunity to share what we've learned, to be for others what we have been for ourselves, to be that listening and compassionate ear, not to be a source of enabling, but instead to be a source of empowerment. This is what we have been preparing for. It is what we have been practicing and honing and perfecting. This is what we came here to do. And with that in mind, I offer not a gentle reminder, an urgent reminder. Number one, to never forget that you are not alone, that you have the company of this community, as visible or invisible as some may be. You have my support. You have support of your loved ones and your friends and your close proximate community. And you have the support of the divine source and force that compels us. I invite you to reach out to one another, because we can't do this work alone. There are days we all hit the wall and we've had enough, and the world's anxiety pressing in on us is just too great. And the cacophony of division and the screaming voices of protest, all of these weigh heavy on us. And if we are not caring for ourselves, then we will not be able to do this work. So when you find yourself hitting the wall, please reach out for support. Please reach out for validation and affirmation when you need it. And on those days when you just need to make sure that you're not crazy, it's the world that's crazy, reach out for validation. And with that in mind, I'm going to share with this community in the on-site platform my cell phone number and my personal email. Please feel free to reach out. I will not be on call 24 hours a day, but I will respond when I'm available. I will turn my phone off at night, and I will turn it off when it's family time so that I can honor my own boundaries. But when and if you need support, please feel free to reach out. Sometimes all we need is a simple text exchange asking, "Have I lost my mind?" And my response would be, "No, the world has lost its mind." Thank you for having had the courage to do this work all these years, to be that force of love, and to go through everything that you've endured to be made ready for this second test, if you will. Because we are like gold being tested in fire. And as we move through this time of evolution, there is a separating between the wheat and the chaff. Those that survive this time of tribulation will do so because they found the inner resources that can carry us through times of challenge and difficulty and ultimately growth. Because as we know from all the ancient myths and all the stories, that death is not the end, that on the other side of death or collapse is new life. And we hold that vision of new life and a new world in our hearts as we allow ourselves to move through these times of challenge. And finally, I want to offer a big I love you and thank you to the young people in this community and the young people that we are in contact with, because Gen Z is ready. They are waiting with bated breath to build the world that they were born knowing in their heart. They are ready. And when it's their time, they will step forward and start that building. So thank you, and please reach out if and when you need support. I love you.